You might have heard people say this, or even maybe you say it. This is just who I am. मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ, मैं तो ऐसी ही हूँ. I have always been like this. I can't do that. I'm not that kind of a person. And this is not self awareness. That's called an identity trap. Because one of the biggest things that stops you from growing is not lack of knowledge, it's the version of ourselves we have become comfortable identifying with. And sometimes your old identity becomes the biggest obstacle to your new life. So you don't just have habits, you have a story about who you are, like the discipline, or maybe I'm an introvert. I am the responsible one. I'm not good with managing money. I'm not good at speaking. I'm a people's person. I'm always the strongest one. I am the one who takes care of everyone. And once something becomes a part of your identity, your brain starts protecting it. Because changing a behavior is relatively easy. Changing your idea of who you are is very hard. Let me give you a personal example through my story. So, there was a version of me who was very, very angry. Like, I used to shout a lot. I used to fight a lot as a young woman. I can say that I was an angry young woman. And for a long time, I was not ready to let go of that part of me. Because somewhere inside, I had convinced myself that this is who I am. This is the version which has always protected me. This is how my voice is. This is how I speak. I'm just an aggressive person, and that aggression has saved me in my life. And that's the dangerous part of an identity. Even when something is not serving you anymore, you can become attached to it simply because you have known yourself that way for so long. I had to consciously learn to become calmer and more composed because I was no longer to be saved. I was in a safe environment. And initially, that felt really, really strange because I was not just changing a behavior, I was changing the way I saw myself. I had to realize that being calm didn't mean I was weak. Being composed didn't mean that I had lost my voice. And not shouting didn't mean I had stopped standing up for myself. In fact, I discovered something very, very different. I could be powerful without being angry. And the moment I let go of that old identity and that old part of me, I didn't become less powerful. In fact, I feel that I became more powerful because my anger was no longer controlling me. And that's what an identity trap does. It makes you protect a version of yourself that you have actually already outgrown and is not applicable in your present life, but you're not ready to let it go. And then there is another identity I have challenged for myself. Like, I am an introvert and I've always been an introvert. And I never really loved mingling with too many people. I didn't particularly ever enjoyed attending parties as such. Like, I wasn't the person who would walk into a room and start talking to everyone, all strangers. And because I had created the identity in my brain that I am an introvert, I'm a reserved person, I thought that I can never network with people. Like, networking is not for me. And because of that, I didn't speak to people as much as I could have, or it could have benefited me. I stayed in my own bubble trap. But slowly I realized something, that networking is an important part of your growth. And there's a reason that people say that your networking is your net worth. Like, the network you build will decide your net worth. Not because you have to become the loudest person in the room, not because you have to attend every party, not because you have to become an extrovert to do that, but because relationships, conversations, and connections do open doors, create opportunities, and expose you to ideas and people you would never encounter inside your own bubble. And joining army did help me to come out of that old bubble of mine. So I started pushing myself, I started coming out of my bubble, I started talking to people, and I started building relationships. And then I realized something very, very important, that being an introvert doesn't mean that you can't talk to people. Like, it's not a disease, it's not a limitation. It doesn't mean that you are socially incapable, it doesn't mean that you can never network. I feel that during this journey, I realized that introversion simply mean that I needed more time to relax and recharge my energy after a lot of social interaction. And once I understood that, I stopped using the frame that I'm an introvert, that's why I can't do this or I can't do that. It was no more a limitation. It became simply a characteristic of how I function in my life. And that was a huge difference because sometimes we take a personal trait and turn it into a prison which holds our life and doesn't let us become what we can become. And this I have experienced as a professional as well. So I have been a lawyer first, then I joined the legal branch of the Indian Army. And after that, I became a fitness instructor, made up Fit Moms, Fitter Homes, then an entrepreneur, got into the hospitality industry, and then I became a communication coach. And imagine at one point I had decided that this is who I am, this is what I do. I would have stopped myself from becoming everything I became afterwards. Because the lawyer in me didn't have to disappear for the army officer to emerge. The army officer in me didn't have to disappear for the fitness coach to emerge. And the fitness coach inside me didn't have to disappear for the entrepreneur to emerge. And none of those identities have to disappear for the communication coach to exist. In fact, they became my layers. And that's what growth really is, I feel. Not destroying your old self, but expanding the definition of who you are. But then comes a question, how do you know that you are stuck in an old identity? Like, number one, you keep saying that I'm just like this. I'm not a morning person. I'm not confident. I'm terrible at technology. My parents say that, even my husband sometimes. I'm not creative enough. I'm not a business person. I can't do that. I'm not good at public speaking. But ask yourself, is that actually a fact? Or is it simply a description you have repeated so many times that you have started believing in it? Number two, you reject opportunities because they don't fit your identity which you have created in your brain. Now imagine someone who has always considered herself or himself as a quiet person. Now someone asks her to speak on stage. Immediately, no, 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 that doesn't work for me, that's not me. But maybe he or she is not incapable of speaking, they're simply unfamiliar with being the person who speaks on stage. Now there is a difference between the two. And I know this personally because when you start creating content consistently, you have to become comfortable with things that were not necessarily a part of your previous identity. Like for me, camera, editing, thumbnail creation on YouTube. I have to check the analytics. I have to be judged publicly on a social media platform. And you keep thinking, I'm not a content creator. I was not this person. And if I kept thinking like that, I would have never become one. At some point, you have to say that maybe this is who I am becoming. You have to let your old self be old and find a new version. Number three, you keep behaving according to an outdated version of yourself. Like this one is absolutely dangerous. Maybe 10 years ago, you were extremely shy. Maybe you were financially dependent. Maybe you avoided confrontation. Maybe you didn't know how to communicate with people. Maybe you committed some errors and mistakes in your past in your relationships. Maybe you were constantly seeking approval of people and you have changed, but you're still making decisions based on the person you used to be. It's like using an old map to navigate a new city. Like literally, you're not using the Google Maps or the Apple Maps and you take a paper map and find the city through it. It's like that. And that becomes an identity trap. So, how do we break the identity trap? Step one, separate your I am from I used to be. Instead of I'm not confident, how about you start telling yourself, I haven't always been confident in this situation, but now I am, or now I can. Instead of I'm bad at handling money, how about you say that I haven't learned how to manage money well yet. Add the yet. Instead of, I'm not a good speaker, how about you say that? Speaking is a skill I am developing. That tiny change in language creates so many possibilities for you. Then, step two, ask yourself, who do I need to become for the life I really want? who do I need to become? Because if you want to build a business, perhaps you need to become someone who can delegate tasks. You can't do it on your own. You can't have an employee mindset while being an employer. If you have always done everything yourself, that's uncomfortable, because suddenly being the person who does everything is no longer useful in such scenario. If you want to become financially independent, you may need to become someone who understands investing, negotiation, and money. If you have always avoided numbers, you can't keep saying that I'm just not a number person. Your new life requires a newer version of you. And for that, you need to let go of the old version of you. Step 3, start collecting evidence for your new identity. Now, don't wait to feel like the new person. You have to literally act like them. I think this has been said multiple times by so many people. If you want to become confident, have the one difficult conversation, expose yourself. If you want to become disciplined, keep one promise to yourself every single day. You want to become financially responsible, then start tracking your money and start learning about money and investments and other processes related to money. You want to become a creator, publish before you feel completely ready. Want to become someone who takes care of herself or himself? Then stop treating yourself like the last item on your to do list. Every action is a vote for the person you are becoming, and you have to do it via actions in the present. Step 4, allow people around you to meet the new version of you. Now, this is where growth gets really, really uncomfortable, because sometimes the people around you know an older version of you. And when you change, they may say that you have changed a lot, huh? And sometimes that sentence is meant as a criticism. I have been told multiple times, you have changed. But the thing is, of course, you have changed. That's the whole point. You should change. You must change. You should evolve. You should learn. You should become wiser with age, with time, or different environments. You should become stronger. You should become softer where you need softness and stronger where you need strength. You don't owe anyone permanent access to an outdated version of you. So let people see the newer version of you. But there is one more lesson which I have learned, that you don't necessarily need to destroy your old identity completely. You have to integrate it. Like the lawyer in me taught me to think critically, the army officer taught me discipline, the fitness coach taught me the importance of health, building businesses taught me that vision isn't enough, you need execution, and becoming a confidence and communication coach has taught me the importance of being heard, understood, and connected. And none of these versions needed to disappear. Like they became layers for me, like I said before. And that's what growth really is. I can apply all of these things in my current life without being stuck to what I was before. Like all of these versions can actually act like lessons for my current life, and I can apply all of those versions. So the next time you catch yourself saying, that's just who I am, मैं तो ऐसा ही हूँ, मैं तो ऐसी ही हूँ, please take a pause and ask yourself, is that actually who I am? Or is that simply who I have been? Or is that simply the version of me I don't want to change because it is too comfortable now? Because there's a massive difference. You're not your old habits, you're not your old mistakes, you're not your old circumstances. And even if in your present you feel that you're something, you can change if you want to. And you're definitely not required to remain loyal to a version of you that you should outgrow for your growth. Your past deserves respect, but it doesn't deserve control over your future. And sometimes the person standing between you and the life you want is not someone else, it's not your circumstances, it's not your conditions. It's the old version of you that you're still trying to protect. Let her go or let him go. There's a new version of you waiting to be built. This is Captain Ritu Kumar Singh signing off. I'll see you in the next video. Jai Hind. Namaste.